Today, we invited Christopher Stevens to join us in the interview. Chris is the CEO and Director of Coda Minerals. Welcome, Chris. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks very much for having me, Hannah.
Chris, could you please briefly introduce yourself?
Certainly. My name's Chris Stevens. I'm the CEO and Executive Director of Coda Minerals. I'm a sinologist and a mineral economist by background, and I've been with the company since it was founded in 2019.
I heard that your Chinese is quite good. Could you please introduce yourself in Chinese to our audience?
哪里来？我这次是本科那个中文系，我在牛津大学中文系毕业的，所以我的中文名字是苏家杰，然后我在中国也住了差不多6年，所以现在就是有点缺联系的机会嘛，但是还是会点中文，是吧？
Thank you, Chris. Your Chinese is very impressive.
Very ordinary these days.
So, Chris, could you please provide an overview of Coda Minerals exploration projects and what makes them attractive for investors?
Absolutely. Coda Minerals was founded in 2019 and primarily to explore for copper and battery minerals. We have a project located in South Australia on the Gawler Craton, very close to BHP's projects, and including the former Oz Minerals, now BHP Carrapateena project. So it's about a 6-hour drive north of Adelaide in one of the best copper exploration places in the world. We have over 700 square kilometers of exploration ground. And on the ground, we have 2 projects. The first is a developing, so feasibility stage copper cobalt project. And the second is an exploration project for copper gold mineralization.
Can you please tell us more about the reserves and resources for Elizabeth Creek copper and cobalt project, and what are the production targets for the deposits?
Thank you. So for the more advanced copper cobalt project, we now have over 1.1 million tons of contained copper and cobalt equivalent. What that means is 43 million tons at 1.84% copper equivalent in our deeper underground deposit, and then 2 open pit deposits. These have now been optimized and a mining plan developed, and that mining plan will see 25,000 tons of copper cathode and over 1,000 tons of battery-grade cobalt sulfate produced per annum once it reaches a steady state. So the production target is 2.5 million tons of production per year to produce final very high-grade battery mineral products, the copper and the cobalt. Beyond that, we have exploration for copper gold. That does not yet have resource or reserves, but we are working on that, and we have additional and more advanced targets next to historical drill intercepts, which are very high grade. So in many cases, over 2 and 3% copper within those copper gold intercepts.
Thank you. So what major developments has the company achieved in the past year?
Look, the last year has been incredible. Certainly the last 3 years, I've never worked so hard in my entire life. The whole team has been not only exploring for the deeper copper gold, where in 2021, we made a major discovery. And with that, we've been working on the next stage exploration. And so what that really means is going back to targeting, going back to understanding the deposit on a geological level, and then developing new targets. And I'm proud to say that we are now finalizing that work. So that's been incredible. The second and really fundamental thing that we did is we took 2 open pit deposits. We then, through exploration, added the underground copper cobalt deposit. So that's over 43 million tons at 1.84% copper equivalent. It's challenging to mine, and we went through 3 iterations of a mine plan before we settled on an optimized plan. And over the last year, we developed a scoping study. And that scoping study is the first definition of the mining, of the processing, and of the economics that the project has ever had. And we're the first team to ever achieve that. So the project now has a scoping study, and we've got a $570 million net present value pre-tax, NPV8, and a 26.5% internal rate of return on that project. just off the base. So we have a lot of exploration still to do. We're building more into this plan, but the base plan has now been shown to be economic at spot copper prices. And so that it's been a great year. You know, sometimes you do the work and then it all comes together and it really starts to look very positive.
That's great. As you just mentioned, a scoping study, can you please give a brief summary of the key results from the scoping study? Earning value uplifting opportunities there.
So we did a scoping study maybe a little bit earlier than many companies would do in our position. Normally you find everything you can find and then you work out what it's worth. What we did a little bit earlier, so we still have a lot of exploration work ongoing. We're building tons, we're adding more copper, we have a lot of ground, but we wanted to make sure we could demonstrate that we could mine it and we could process it. This is relatively unusual mineralization, and so it's not easy. The scoping study results demonstrated a mining plan and a processing plan to take these products through to final. The economic studies at a net present value at a discount rate of 8% showed a pre-tax net present value of $570 million from a pre-production capex of just 277 million Australian dollars. That gives an internal rate of return of 26.5%. But we're not done. We're currently optimizing the mine plan. We're working on a new version of the mine plan where we hope to reduce costs further and improve the conversion of resource to production target. And we're also exploring. So we have new targets ready to go to add into that mine plan. So at the moment, 2.5 million tons per annum, but we're looking to increase that as well. So it's a really good start. This is a very economic project at spot prices for copper and cobalt. But building on that, we have, again, demonstrated that at future forecast prices, this is, has very strong economics. And then we are working through optimizing and increasing.
Yeah, so there is an opportunity to increase that.
Oh, absolutely. The scoping study is just the base that demonstrates a technical and economic path forward for us. We are working very hard and we will be building on these numbers as well. So there's good future upside. And of course, the big one, the really big one, we ran our numbers at $4 a pound, so $8,800 per ton copper and $55,000 per ton cobalt. The future forecast, especially for copper with energy transition, is very strong. So we included sensitivities in the scoping study. But again, at $10,000, $12,000 copper, this is an incredible project. And again, I just saw last week Citigroup, one of the world's largest investment banks, reaffirming their view of copper at $12,000 per ton by 2025. So the future for copper and energy transition is very, very strong. And again, with that advanced project with our copper cobalt, we're very well positioned to take advantage of that.
So can you share recent progress in the exploration at Elizabeth Creek, and what is a major focus and target of PFS work?
So we are always working on the two forms of exploration, the copper cobalt, which is generally shallower, and then the much deeper but much larger reward or potential reward there for the copper gold. So we know that one of the world's largest copper gold deposits, Olympic Dam, is just up the road from us. Next door to us is Carrapateena, which was just acquired by BHP from Oz Minerals, or BHP acquired Oz Minerals. And then we know the size, BHP has just put out a production target on Oak Dam West as well, looking up to, over 1 billion tons of in-ground resources, their production target over 1% copper. So in 2021, we hit some really incredible results. Those sent our share price skyrocketing. And it's been a year and nearly 2 years now of working through that exploration. So at the back of that, we now have our next level targets ready to go. We have finished all of the work looking at the foundations of that project and then where we drill next, effectively, where we're going to look to capitalize on the amazing discovery we've made. And we're now ready to do that. So that's the first part of exploration on the copper gold. The copper cobalt, so the shallower one that has the more advanced project, we currently have 6 priority areas ready to drill, and they're all very close to the existing production area. And then in the long term, we have 28 square kilometers of unexplored ground where we're looking to generate more targets. So again, shorter horizon, near-term targets, and then we're developing longer term proving up longer term targets as well, ready to drill.
So regarding to the mining industry, what do you see as the biggest opportunity for growth over the next 5 to 10 years? And how will Coda Minerals capitalize on the trend?
Energy transition is clearly the big theme here. And everyone is talking about it. Everyone is talking about electrification, reduction in carbon emissions. The only way that is possible is with obviously increased electrification. And the only way to move energy generally is with copper. Copper is the primary metal for that transition. Cobalt is also extremely important. The things to remember about both copper and cobalt is they are relatively in short supply. We do not know where the next copper and cobalt mines are coming from. The majority of cobalt is produced in the DRC in Africa. That is challenging from an ESG, so environmental, social governance point of view. And we know that the world is moving much more strongly towards caring about and focusing on the ESG credentials of projects. So here you have in South Australia 2 wonderful thematics for Coda. The first is copper and cobalt. We already have demonstrated we have a lot of it. We've done that through hard work, through exploration, and through demonstrating that we know how to find these minerals in the ground. On top of that, we have one of the world's best ESG areas. You have an area that's free of significant issues, that has mines in the area already, in one of the world's safest and most stable jurisdictions. So the future of mining is copper and energy transition. And the future of mining is moving towards much stricter, higher levels of ESG. And Coda is positioned here in an absolutely wonderful place, both literally and figuratively, South Australia, and also with the project that we have to capitalize on that and to see growth for our investors through copper, cobalt, copper, gold, and through incredible ESG characteristics. And we care a lot about that as a company as well. It is part of our DNA. It is part of who we are as a team. And so that passion, and that's one of the reasons I got involved with this project, is that passion for ESG and copper as well. So the future's very strong for mining, but also very strong for Coda, I believe.
Totally agree. That's why we call copper Dr. Copper, right? Because it's an indication of the economy.
Absolutely. And even in tough times right now, global inflationary pressures, post-COVID, we're seeing copper at over $8,000 per ton consistently. And so when energy picks up, just imagine what that's going to be, especially combined with dwindling supply from new mines.
So last question from me. What can we expect from Coda Minerals in the next 6 months?
Exploration. We have targets ready to go for copper cobalt. We have targets ready to go for the deeper copper gold. We have a feasibility study demonstrating an economic go-forward project, and we are now very advanced in our optimization work. We are working to improve the already very strong economics. And so what you'll see from Coda is a steady stream of results on exploration, on forward planning, and on progress through the feasibility stages of this project. And I hope and I believe very strongly you will see increased financial results from the forecast, from the feasibility studies for the copper cobalt project.
Wonderful. Chris, thank you so much for your time today. We look forward to catching up with you again in the future.
Thank you very much for having me here, Hannah.
Thank you.